Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Marlene Cuellar.
And I am Brighton Cott.
And thank you for joining us this morning.
Marlene, it's a warm morning.
Yes, it is. The summer is here.
It is. We could see like the sunlight going longer into the day, and so we think it's a bit earlier. Yeah. But it's actually late.
Yeah. And you feel the sunlight when you step outside. I think that's the key thing. But, you know, we will take hot, dry weather in a hurricane season anytime.
Yeah, for sure.
Of course, Brighton, there's quite a bit buzzing from yesterday. And, you know, I want to start off, I know it's a somber note, but it still is, as we found out more about the story of the murder in the West. I think we have a persistent issue that keeps on coming up. And I wanted to take the opportunity to just be able to discuss, you know, we hear of the fatal results of domestic violence at times. Mm-hmm. And we hear family members and friends talk about how they saw warning signs and how they tried to help their loved one. Or encourage their loved one to be able to leave the situation. And unfortunately, this is not the first time it comes to a tragic end in this way. And I do hope that as the story unfolded last night, that other persons who are in that situation are able to recognize, and I am not saying it's easy. I am not saying that there's just a very simple path to be able to leave a violent relationship. But I do think in looking at it from a life preservation standpoint, this is something that I hope would give them the additional courage to get up and leave.
Right, absolutely. It comes back to that saying as well, how it takes a village to raise a child. It also takes a community to help each other out. And so when you say, see something, say something, I think that's very important for us to bring more awareness around domestic violence and being able to lend that shoulder of support for our women, particularly in domestic violence situations. Being able to assist them if you have access to networks that will be able to provide assistance and that social support that's necessary to be able to transition out of such a relationship is very, very important. So certainly it's a tragic situation, and it's something that happens all too often. Yeah. I feel like we need to start putting more emphasis in developing strategies to be able to combat domestic violence in a more aggressive manner.
Yeah. And a key part of it is being able to let people know the resources that exist. You see, very often domestic violence doesn't just happen with physical violence. There's emotional manipulation, there's psychological manipulation, there's financial manipulation, and these persons are very often, you know, they may not have the resources to leave. Sometimes they don't even have the free time away from their partner or away from being under scrutiny to leave. They have their children to consider and so many different factors, or they don't have even the self-confidence enough because they've been beaten down. But I do want people to know, you know, that the resources do exist. There are shelters that you can be able to escape to. You show up with nothing, and they'll be able to provide for you and your children. They can help you secure counseling for you and your children. They can help you get back on your feet with skills training. They will help your children continue with school, and they will give you a space to be able to stay safe. There's Marla's
Right.
House of Hope, there is Haven House, and for other facilities, you just have to contact the Women's Department.
And also there are the emergency protection orders that you could also apply for. Most often, I've spoken with a magistrate about this, and she said that in most instances they award emergency protection orders for women who are in domestic violence situations, and sometimes you have to have movements of women throughout the night.
Yeah.
As the call arises. And so there are different safe spaces for women who are in these types of relationships. You just need to reach out and be able to.
It's a horrific story, and you know, my heart goes out to that family, to the children. But like I said, this morning I woke up and I said, I hope that it can just be kind of that catalyst for people who've been considering leaving a violent relationship. Ladies, and I say ladies because as much as people will say, oh, it happens to men too, it's predominantly women who are the victim in these cases. But ladies, you know, it's a matter of life and death sometimes. And if you know that your relationship, the violence is escalating, please reach out for help. And to the family members, to not give up in providing that support.
Right.
They may cut you off, they may get mad at you, but the key part is that they need to know that when they are ready and they feel strong enough to leave, that they can reach out to you for help.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
And also, Marlene, in other news, we are seeing that there is a push right now for relations to be established between Mexico and Belize in the tourism industry, and also how transport plays a significant role in the development of tourism. So there's currently talks about exchange programs for Belizeans to be able to attend the hotel management schools, development schools in Mexico, to be able to build our capacity as Belizeans to ensure that we continue to provide best service possible for those who come into our country.
Yeah, definitely. Isn't that what we all love as Belizeans when we go over to Mexico? We love the customer service that we get, being treated like a tourist. Yeah, you know, this conversation around regional travel, especially within the Central America and Mexico, has been one that has been on the table for a long time. The idea is, especially for people who are traveling from very far, when they come to this region, much like when people go to Europe, they don't want to go to one country, they want to see several, that they would do the same. I do think I've always had the question, especially where it comes to Mexico and Belize, how do we differentiate ourselves? Mexico definitely has like a mass tourism product, but at core it's the same. It's caves, it's zip lining, it's reef and beach, and so I think it's ensuring that we still have a way of marketing ourselves as something unique from what is being offered, especially in Mexico.
Yeah, oftentimes when you see tourists would visit around this area of the world or this part of the world, we noticed that they would visit Playa del Carmen, Tulum, Cancun, all these different tourist destinations within the southern part of Mexico. And then you think to yourself, it's like, how isn't that fluctuating into Belize? How isn't there an influx into Belize? And so certainly a regional push to be able to integrate Belize into that tourism space, I think would be beneficial for us to be able to establish that, you know, you could travel to Mexico, but you could also go right across the border to Belize as well and get a different experience in terms of culture as well.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you said that, because when I do think of what differentiates us, I think the cultural identities that we have that are so strong, that is remarkably unique for us. You know, you go to a cenote in Mexico, it's a destination. It's not a full experience the way it would be here in Belize. And I think that those are some of the things that really become part of our unique markers and what people talk about when they come here. But it is, you know, they get millions of people going into Mexico to travel. And of course, that also is facilitated by the number of carriers that fly into Cancun's international airport. But it is just a short ride or potentially a short flight for them to be able to come over to Belize, for us to even get half
Right.
or a quarter of the number of visitors that they see. And that would definitely be a boost for us as well. And Mexicans travel substantially as well.
Right.
And so being able to tap into that market would be very helpful as well.
Also in the discussions, Marlene, was the point was brought up about the need to sort of step back from visas after 1 week traveling into other parts of Mexico. So that's also another interesting part of the discussion that was held between the representatives from the tourism industry in Mexico, along with our ministers, Minister Mala and Minister Ferguson. How is it that we could develop that relation to be able to have Belizeans explore beyond Quintana Roo after 1 week within their country?
You mean Mexico isn't just Cancun and Playa? No, but you know, it's a unique experience for us. But yeah, that would be very helpful. I know the application for the visa or being able to discover different parts of Mexico is something that we don't try. Maybe this is part of the reason why, so that maybe we'll open up the doors for people to go to other areas.
And then now, Marlene, we shift a bit to some international news. And there's been a bizarre story coming out from East London in South Africa where just in the matter of moments or split seconds, 22 teenagers died. And they still haven't found a reason as to why.
Yeah. No, I was reading up on the story. It's in a bar. And they were found with empty bottles near them. They have identified them as children under 18, and they still don't have a cause of death as yet. You know, it was the end of their semester, and it is also reported to be a place that is a very popular hangout, and that there is underage drinking that happens. Their legal age for drinking is 18, but it is known as an establishment that allows underage drinking. But early on, they were saying it was potentially a stampede to get in. But they're saying that the bodies show absolutely no sign of injury on them. So it is a very strange case. And so I'm interested to see what they'll find is the result of the cause of death.
Right.
Yeah. Lots of strange things happening. You know, we can have our theories about what's going on in the world, but there are a lot of strange things that are happening. Yeah. All right, but that's just a bit about what's buzzing, and we are, of course, going to get moving into our show for today, get you started with some motivation, and of course, that means it's time for Eye Opener. And our Eye Opener, taken from dailyom.com, goes like this. Being of service to our community is part of being a good citizen of the planet Earth. To live harmoniously, we need to be supportive and helpful to all people, creatures, and plant life that share this earth with us. While being of service is part of being a good citizen of the world, it also feels good to help others. When we do something for others in service without the expectation of anything in return, we are turning our actions into offerings. There are many ways that you can serve the world. Imagine the impact we would have on the environment if we picked up one piece of trash off the street every day and choose not to drive our car once a week. Even gardening tactics such as throwing wildflower seeds onto a vacant lot can brighten the lives of others, including the lives of birds and insects. Every day, you can do something to make this world a better place. During meditation, ask for guidance on what you can do to be of service. This can be a wonderful way to start your day. Smiling at a stranger who looks down on the dumps, or teaching your neighborhood kids how to whistle will impact someone's day or even their life. Giving of yourself is the best gift that you can give.
Absolutely. I love this eye-opener, Marlene, because it speaks to, I guess, the core of who I try to be as a person, being able to offer services to others without wanting anything in return, just to see development, just to see growth within your community. And I think particularly back to one instance where I saw that there was erosion happening in our area, and I decided to walk around the block, gather everyone, told them that we will get some mangrove propagules, the seedlings, and we are going to do a mangrove restoration along our waterway. Because it's that type of community-oriented type of action that actually builds neighborhood watch. It builds your community, it builds support for each other. You start looking out for one another to ensure that everyone is safe within their space. And also, it serves back to the environment as well in terms of environmental protection, and it also shows the importance of social movement.
You know, I think it is such an important lesson, and the younger you learn it, the better. And which is why I love that schools still encourage things like community service as a part of their credit hours. For some people, I think the idea or the purpose behind community service sticks with them, and some just do it for the credit, let's be honest. But we can very easily become complacent, and we can very easily sit with this feeling of helplessness. Things need to be done, nobody's doing it. I don't like that, there's erosion in my area, I don't like that there's crime. I hate to see the inefficiencies or the lack of resources in other areas. But then you don't think of how you can contribute. And we can contribute in so many different ways. It can be volunteerism, going out and offering your time. It can be giving financially if you have that, or giving what you can. Sometimes it's your expertise. Sometimes it's just sharing with people the how to do something. But I do think that it does two things. It helps to build that spirit of community, one, and two, it also makes you feel like you are playing a part, which in itself is the reward. And so, this summer is coming up. If you are a student, this is a great time to volunteer. Yesterday we had the fire service on. They're saying that they take in volunteers to be able to help them in firefighting. There are many organizations. I know you used to volunteer with NGOs as well. Many organizations that can always take on extra hands to be able to help them out. So please, start when you're young. You'll get hooked into it.
Absolutely, and there's no better feeling than seeing development happening right in front of your eyes.
All right. So that is our eye-opener for today. And with that, we're going to get moving into our weather update. We're going to be getting our forecaster on the line very shortly. Of course, we know that it's hot, but there is a system that we need to be keeping an eye on that is just off the coast of Barbados at this point. And so we're going to find out from them what the update is shortly. There we go. We have Francisca Wellington on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, Marlene and Brighton.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Doing good, thank you. How about you guys?
Hot.
Awesome. We'll take the heat though.
But I said as I started the show, I'll take hot and dry over anything else.
Hi.
All right. So tell me, what's the forecast for today?
Okay then, so we'll see sunny skies, mostly sunny skies. We'll have a few cloudy spells. That's for today, partly cloudy skies tonight, and showers, earth thunderstorms will be isolated. And that's across the country.
What about the winds?
All right, so winds will be out of the east, very light, 5 to 10 knots, supporting slight seas and 1 to 3 feet waves beyond the reef.
And the temperatures?
All right, along the coast, 88 Fahrenheit this afternoon, inland 93, and the Maya Mountains 81. And then overnight temperatures, 80 along the coast, 72 inland, 68 up in the Maya Mountains. So it should be similar to what happened last night into this morning.
All right, and our extended forecast?
Okay, so that will be Wednesday. We have a weak tropical wave that will begin to affect us. I am seeing like about midday Wednesday through the evening, and then later in the night, the showers and thunderstorms associated will be decreasing. So it will be a quick pass through by that
just a half day
tropical wave.
Okay. And of course, keeping an eye out in the tropics. Tell us what's happening.
All right. So currently, we have a system in the Gulf of Mexico, but that is very weak, has a very low chance of developing. We have another out about 1,000 miles out in the east. Again, that has a low chance. And then we have one that it's a tropical. One moment. It's potential tropical cyclone 2. And this system at this morning, 6 o'clock, was about 230 miles east of Trinidad. It's traveling west at 23 miles per hour with 40 miles per hour winds. And they say once it remains over land, it could become a tropical depression.
Mm-hmm. And that's the one we got to keep a close watch on, right?
That's right. That is very true.
Mm-hmm.
Has there been developments about flooding in Jacintoville area?
Not that I've heard of.
Okay.
I haven't gotten any news about that.
Okay. All right. Well, Francisca, thank you so much for that update.
You're welcome.
You have a great day.
Thanks, and same to you.
All right.
Have a good one.
There you
Yeah,
go.
there we have it.
All right, so it's going to be mostly dry today, but do keep in mind, especially if you have laundry to do, right? Tomorrow's not the day. We're expecting some showers to come in. All right, let's get moving into our show, Brighton.
Yeah, we have 3 sessions lined up for this morning, Marlene, and we're starting off with a very necessary conversation with the Public Service Union of Belize, and they're also celebrating their 100th anniversary. And so we'll be talking all things PSU this morning in our first segment.
All right, and the second part of the show, of course, this organization has been assisting teachers across the country for quite some time. They have their summer programs coming up. Pathlight Belize is going to be joining us, and they're going to tell us about what they have planned and also the opening of a brand new center.
And then we close off with our final top achiever conversation for 2022. It's graduation season, and so we're using our platform to highlight top achievers across the country. And today we're going to be joined by students from San Pedro High School.
That's right. All right, so that's what we have in store for you this morning. We're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by the president and first vice president of the Public Service Union. So please stay tuned.
Keep still now.
Ouch.
I tell you no move.
Man, you really can't get a mannequin for this, man? Really?
Well, son, if I never lend you the $2,000 to buy the kids' computer and the book, I may have the money for buy my mannequin.
It's definitely better to borrow from the bank than from your friends or relatives. This way, all you owe is money.
Would you like me to turn around?
That would be good. Turn on, turn on, turn on.
Take advantage of the back-to-school promotion currently being offered by the Belize Bank.
With the touch of a finger, we can easily unlock our phones and securely gain access to our data. This technology is called biometrics, and the Social Security Board is introducing fingerprint recognition to make transactions and handling of your sensitive data secure, fast, accurate, and convenient. Is your identity safe? Fingerprint recognition will keep your Social Security record secure and confidential while making your access fast and easy. It protects your identity. Is your name a common one? Fingerprint recognition uses your unique characteristics, ensuring your hard-earned benefits go directly to you, the rightful owner. Tired of all the paperwork? Fingerprinting makes this hassle-free. Your convenience and your information security is our priority.
Fingerprint recognition is here. Social Security at your fingertips.
I'm always on the go, and the country is my home. So when I want to get away from it all, I immerse myself with my favorite movies, all from the new Smart Stream app. It's easy to use this service. Purchase your movies from the app and use your mobile data, Smart Stream data packages, or smart broadband to stream and enjoy. Be like me and stream on the go with Smart Stream.
And we are back. We are moving into our first conversation for this morning with the Vice President and President of the Public Service Union, Dean Flowers, as well as Anissa Gonzalez. Good morning and thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys for having us.
Public Service Union is celebrating its 100th anniversary, its 100th year of existence. Let's start off by giving our viewers a historical backdrop of some of the achievements of the PSU over these past 100 years.
Okay, well, if I can go first.
You could go first. Jenny's first.
Good morning, Marlene. Good morning, Burton, and good morning, Belize. Thanks very much for having us on this momentous occasion now. Accomplishments. I think the fact that you guys get to choose the hours that you guys work is as a result of the work of the unions. One of our an accomplishment and a privilege that we enjoy in the public service that a lot of people don't recognize is the 8 hours work week. 8 hours work day, 5 days work week. Those are not things that came about just overnight or by any government. Those are things that were fought for and negotiated by workers of this country and by unions in general. But more importantly, we have what we would normally refer to as the collective bargaining process. And through that process, we're able to improve the terms and conditions of service. We're able to negotiate salary increases. And more importantly, in the public service, we have a whole array of allowances. We have a compendium of allowances that we improve upon each and every collective bargaining process that we would engage in. And that in itself is a conversation by itself, because for the PSU, we also have a heavy load on our shoulder where an existing CBA or negotiations in trying to close a CBA that started since 2009 continues to hang over us as a dark shadow. I have committed to membership over this weekend that that matter has to be closed this year. I refuse to be another president that is unable to see a look. 2009 to 2022, that's what, 14 years, almost 15 years.
Would that mean the PSU separating from the teachers union?
It could very well be that. That is, of course, not the ideal situation, but the PSU cannot continue to be held in a situation that puts our own workers at a disadvantage in terms of what we would want to achieve for them, because one of our sister union, which we value and which we appreciate and which we love, is unable to somehow reach a compromise as it relates to this special proposal, which we believe can be resolved. As a matter of fact, under the previous administration, it was resolved. Or there was commitment in resolving it. So it's simply for us to have a sit down with this administration to address that, but nothing stops us as a joint union or stops the BNTU as a union to bring back that proposal in a new CBA, but we cannot prolong this process any longer. And so my commitment and my mandate is that it must be brought to a close and a new CBA be negotiated.
You know, 100 years is no easy feat.
Yeah.
I think I want to start off by saying that. So congratulations. It's not easy to maintain the momentum of a union because you are reliant on maintaining membership. And as representatives of one of the largest employee unions, it is important that you are always representative of the people who form your union. I want to talk about the growth. There is an interest in what the unions have to say, but the challenge very often is getting people to join the union and be active members of the union. Yeah. How would you say you're doing in that area?
Definitely we have improved over the past year in some of the districts more than some. And you know, it's not that I believe we have representatives from each district, which are chairs, you know, and they have worked diligently and hard to have that increase in membership. Many times we have obstacles, you know, we have PG, you know, it's far. Sometimes it's a forgotten district, but nevertheless, you know, our district branch chair branches have worked so hard to try and increase the membership. I think when we started the talk, we talk about complacency amongst not only our union members, but we as a people, you know, we tend to be very complacent. I don't know if that is one of the issues that when there is an issue at hand, is that when we open our mouth. And we need to step away from that. You know, we need to be more inclusive. We need to engage more in our own national issues that affect us overall.
Yeah. You know, I think the idea of activism is one that we talk about, and we try very hard to get people to become their own advocates. And joining into groups like the different unions that exist to have a collective voice. Very often, the excuse that is used, I don't want to say excuse, one of the reasons attributed as to why people don't associate or speak up is because of fear of victimization. How much is this a reality today, or do you find it to just be an excuse that people use?
In my humble opinion, I think it's both. We have a live issue on hand as it relates to Daniel Che. And that is victimization. And then the other issue in terms of it being an excuse, yes, it is an excuse, because at the end of the day, you have a duty and a responsibility as a citizen, as an employee of a company, to be able to have a frank and honest discussion with your employer about your terms and conditions of service. We've failed as a people to educate each other. And so whenever we approach somebody to do something, it is always from a perspective of what's in it for me, what's in it for you. So when we approach union members, it's, look, if you join the union, you could get an alisma loan, you could get an education grant, then get a housing fund, then get there are benefits that you can enjoy. We don't go to people and say, look, unionism is important to be able to give you security of tenure in your employment. Unionism is important. It's important that you join the union so that when you need representation, legal or otherwise, you have that. Those are not the angles that we take. It goes right back to your child is turning 18. The conversation that normally that you have a duty to participate in the democratic process to elect credible and people with integrity. It's more, well, if you become a voter, I could collect your $50 now. I could get 100. For all the wrong reason, we join unions, we join associations. And so I believe as parents, as citizens, we've failed to properly educate people about what's the difference between being a trade unionist and a member. And most people are geared towards being a member, not a trade unionist. And being a because being a trade unionist comes with a high level of expectation and a high level of
and a high level of scrutiny, which you know firsthand.
Yeah.
People will dig up whatever there is to dig up to be able to discredit you as a part of the process. And you have to be willing to face that.
Yeah. And then by extension of what the president mentioned, we have our books in front of us, meaning we have the PSR, the GWR. We have all these books that, why aren't you investing your time in knowing what are your rights in, from these things? It goes a long way when you come and say, I don't know what the union is doing. You don't want to know what the union is doing, because there is your responsibility to keep engaged. And I don't want to jump the gun, but one of the things that we have accomplished over this year is our signing the grievance manual with Ministry of Public Service. That's a huge thing. Excuse me. The grievance manual, by extension, the key person that will be representing or public officers is a liaison officer. Yeah. Even that, it's hard to find liaison officer that wants to take up this role. So I encourage public officers. This role is important. You're the person that would be the key person that would public officers would go to if they're having any issues in any department or ministry. So that role is important. Yeah. But we still have,
Well, the manual is rendered useless if there aren't people who will actively use it, because that was an accomplishment.
And I have to say, the Ministry of Public Service has pushed, and we signed the manual, and they are partnering with us. They want to recognize who these liaison officers are. They have said, by extension, these liaison officers should be included when there's any matter with the HOD in meetings, that would affect public any of the working conditions in departments and ministries.
I want to just, because you touched on the Daniel Che situation, and I want to breeze past that one because that has clearly been a very public example. You have spoken out before saying that the PSU stands behind Daniel G, and that you feel that even though there was an infraction, we acknowledged that in the last interview, that the punishment that is being meted out does not match the level of infraction made?
Yeah, I think that the CEO himself, in an interview that he gave to the media about 2 weeks ago, was clear that the infraction was insubordination. And insubordination, in accordance with the public service regulations under section 82, I believe it is a minor infraction. And a minor infraction is addressed via a verbal warning. That's the extent of it. And so of course, I was further baffled that he would say publicly that the charge being leveled against a public officer is for insubordination, and then he jumps all the other procedure by way of which you deal with minor infractions. And under section 85, it is specific procedure to deal with minor infractions. Give the man a verbal warning, monitor his behavior. If he continues, give him a written warning, and then you continue.
Is it procedural, or is there that usual caveat with discretion left for?
There's absolutely no room for discretion.
Okay.
Absolutely none. And that's why I say that, in my humble opinion, this is a case of victimization by instructions being obviously given to the CEO in the Ministry of Sustainable Development, and sadly to his minister, who a couple of days after came out and said, well, yeah, that's what we do, and hopefully the commission, and then trying to pass the buck on to the commission. It's not for the commission to decide whether that matter should have been heard. It should have been a simple decision, a simple meeting between the CEO and the administrative officers, who, by the way, they're two. And these are the things that, again, rubs me the wrong way, because when you have two administrative officers in a ministry who calls themselves senior administrative officers, who are unable to advise a young CEO, and causes him to, respectfully I say this, make a fool of himself as it relates to the application of the regulations, it leaves a lot to be desired about the quality of people and the kind of training that we're giving to these
Help
CEOs.
me understand this properly. Are you saying that they cannot recommend dismissal for a minor infraction, or that the recommended punishment is for verbal warning and monitoring?
The recommended punishment is simple for an oral warning. The only time you can recommend dismissal for a minor infraction if there is repetition and repetitive behavior, and the inability or lack of willingness by that public officer to change. And so I understand the matter is before the commission, Marlene.
Okay.
I can say this because while we know that everything, including the commission, has been politicized over the years, and continues to be politicized.
Yeah.
I am confident that irregardless of those political appointments, that matter will not see the day of light. To date, that the commission has not reached out to Brother Che. The commission, of course, would have to write to him and ask him to explain himself, which, by the way, didn't even happen. The first process, again, at the ministerial level, would have been not only to request of him an incident report, if it is that they wanted to understand what occurred, but to then inform him that based on his submission and based on the evidence provided to them, that they would that they're making a recommendation for his dismissal before the commission, and they're therefore giving him an opportunity to respond as to why that shouldn't happen. Look, if I'm a liar like Dicky, nolly prosequa, dash that nonsense out.
But it doesn't work that way, no? And I think that's part of why this has become such a live issue for the public. This is one incident. It is not the first incident that we have heard of similar circumstances. And the bigger issue here is the political interference that so very often happens between public servants and government representatives. And you're talking CEO level, minister level. Very often there's a direct communication that would take place, and public servants would either execute, most often, or in this instance with Mr. Chi, in some way refuse, and in his case, hang up on the Prime Minister of our country. That is really a critical issue that we have not yet addressed. And it takes two parts. One, it's education of public servants, but also education of our appointed and elected leaders. How do you see us moving in that direction? There's been training taking place for public servants now. Is this one way for us to be able to circumvent this?
Definitely, but more so, there is a greater need for training and education for CEOs. They come into the public sector clueless and oblivious to how the public sector works. I can tell you that despite the Ministry of Public Service taking them to, I believe it's Placencia, for 2 days to try to inform, educate, and sensitize them in terms of how the public service works, they continue to make a mess of how they function within the public service. I can tell you that even within the Ministry of Public Service, there are a lot of breaches being caused by public servants, because in our meetings with the Ministry of Public Service, there is this sense that CEOs simply don't get it. They simply don't get how people are hired, how people are disciplined, and how people are dismissed within the public service. They simply don't get it, despite the Ministry of Public Service doing their best. And so, while yes, there is a greater need for an induction and a proper induction training of public officers, because when a politician comes to you, Brighton, and tells you, report to the Belize Tax Services Department, you simply go there without absolutely no orientation, without no induction of what are your role, not only as a tax officer, but more so as a public officer. You have a duty to perform election duty, you have a duty to perform emergency duties, and that's why you have this resistance when you have elections, because people, nobody taught me and told me that I had to do that. I know they planned that. Plus that the minister sent me, I'm not going to do that. So you have the same set of people over and over again. So again, the reason why this country is in a mess, politicians. The reason why the public service is in a disastrous situation, politicians.
This leads to the question, it begs the question, are ministers over-utilizing their power in creating spaces for open vote workers, simply because open vote workers could just show up at a workplace and say, the minister sent me. Is it a situation where we are being flooded with open vote workers within the service?
I think you need to bring the financial secretary. When you get the Minister of Public Service here, you need to inform him in advance to bring the numbers as it relates to open vote work.
What's the hesitation there? Let me go back. The CBA conversation from 2009 to today has included this one point. Let us get the full list of public servants so we can tell you where we can. It was a trim the fat conversation back then. I don't know where it is now. Are you saying that up to today, 2022, you still have not received the full list of public servants in this country?
Of course, I could go through the back door. I trust that I have one legitimate list. I trust I have a legitimate list. The problem with my list would be accurately classifying public officers. But I believe I have a comprehensive list of every single public officer within the service, including the ghost workers that were there previously and that are there now. Again, in my last conversation with the Minister of Public Service, I said, when will your colleagues stop encouraging the CEOs and the administrative and finance officers to continue employing and paying public officers via payables? They bring you in Marlene, they don't get any permission from the Ministry of Finance to hire you. They don't get any permission from the Ministry of Public Service to hire you. And they go to the FO, who again is it's really disappointing when I see these things and therefore I say, well, I get instruction, and the EU and say, well, I get instruction. No, you have a duty and a responsibility to say no and to not do it because it's illegal. And they pay you through payables like if you're providing a service to the government. And you're there for years and years and years being paid through payables. I can tell you, as we speak, there are immigration clerks at the PGIA who did not receive a salary last month because there was no money to pay them because they're being paid via payables. Imagine this. These are immigration clerks. These are posts that are to be created because they're permanent posts and they're being paid illegally through payables. There are similar individuals for years in the Ministry of Human Development.
All of this that you're saying comes back to one particular, well, one phrase, constitutional reformation. And I understand that in the next week or so, there will be the establishment of the Constitutional Reform Committee. Speak to us about the Public Service Union's role in the development of that committee and what you want to see out of that particular committee.
Well, we have a dual role because I'm pleased to report that we received a letter for us to name a representative. And so our council, of course, will be exploring a possible candidate for that. And we meet on Saturday, and that will be, of course, a matter for discussion in terms of identifying a suitable representative for the Public Service Union to sit on the commission. We have another role via the NTUCB as an affiliate who have also been given the opportunity to name a representative. So we will have influence in ensuring that two competent individuals are named to the Constitutional Reform Commission, and hope that this whole issue of cabinet dictatorship and ministerial intervention can be addressed in this reform. Again, I encourage all Belizeans. It cannot be the work of civil society or the political parties that will oversee what this new constitution look like. You have to play an active and participatory role to shape that, because at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, it affects you.
You know, I wanna bring us back to where we started earlier with the membership, because the problems that you've outlined, and as you said, you feel frustration when you know your finance officers execute orders because they've been given instructions. Changing politicians who become government workers, that's a feat in itself. But changing the culture within public service is within your purview. And I think that that's one of the areas that we can discuss. What do you think it would take for you to, the regulations exist. For example, I know we've talked on the show before, what happens if you're given an instruction that you know doesn't fit within the protocols that you should follow? What kind of documentation should you get? What happens if you ask for documentation and you don't get it? How do you focus on your controllable area? I mean, it's important that we flag what takes place. It's important that the leaders like you and Anissa come on the show and say, this is what's happening at the top level. But what's happening with the groundswell of public servants to empower them to be able to document, speak up, and change the course that they've been on for a very long time?
Yeah.
Anissa, go, because
you throw your hands up. That was a defeated move just now.
I'll speak on a personal note. July 2nd, it'll make me 31 years as a career public officer. At no point can Marlene come to me and say, you need to get this done, XYZ, and have it ready for me, have this report ready. When you look at numbers or whatever you want to look at and you say, but this doesn't look right, this isn't correct, or why am I doing this? For sure, I would probably print off a section of, it could be the PSR, the GWR, it could be the stores order, the financial orders, and I would attach whatever I'm doing to that and make a note of this section and say, you know what, this is where we are having an issue, and make reference. You mentioned something very well. Most of us get a diary this is an important tool to document as we go along. If anything, it not necessarily has to affect you, but anything that you see happening in your department or ministry that is questionable, document it. At no point when you come in front of your HOD or your ministry or supervisor asking you certain questions, you can go back and say, well, you know what? This is what happened on this day. I didn't do this because of this. This part of the regulation states this. This part of the store's order states this. So those are, to me, that's important for public officers and union members to learn and know their regulations. Yes, it comes right back to our regulations. And documentation.
Well, what makes you different? What makes you do that? I'm sure Dean probably does the same versus the majority, because I think we often say, you know, we talk about ministers and we say they work for us.
Well,
the public service works for the public as well.
It stems right back to the first day I started to work. When I started to work, I got in hand at that time, I'm not sure if it was a PSR, but it was something representative of the PSR. I got my financial orders. I got my store orders. I was told to go over these if you have any questions. So there, I got a proper induction of getting into the public service. I wasn't just thrown in. So that makes a difference. Okay. So from the start of a public officer having an office, I would say the induction process, the induction.
What's the difference? If I can, dear Pedro, I need to add this. The induction and the training, that 1 week orientation will make a difference. However, it goes back to where you live and where I live, Marlene. What is our upbringing? And what is your parent teaching you as it relates to respect for self and having dignity, integrity, and having integrity. Look, we have a duty to educate, empower with public officers. But when we're public officers, they come out of households that all they see is red and blue, they will let you know plain. My party they in, this is my minister, he brought me over here, I want to do what I need to do to appease him. We have several live cases before the Supreme Court as we speak. An example is the custom officers who the judge, you don't know how that case is going. We either want pay, one pretty penny, not government, we the Belizean people, because of this stupidness. And the same thing will happen if they were to be successful in their commission against Daniel Che. We the people will pay a very, very pretty penny because the lawyers are lined up. This is one case where it looked like we don't even have to get involved, Marlene. Well, we're getting involved at the commission level because the lawyers are lining up to represent him right now as we speak. As we speak. Because money they out there to make because of these stupid political decisions.
Our money.
Our money.
Our money.
But let me get back to the issue of why it doesn't happen. When this matter unfolded as it relates to promotions and people doing what is right, again, because of this political divide, people put their own reputation aside because of wanting to satisfy a politician. A politician who comes and goes on, a politician who is giving them wrong instructions. So no matter how much we try, inform and educate, it comes back to the man in the mirror. What do I stand for? How do I value myself? Do I value how my children will see me? I always tell people one day the influence will be gone. But I have my girls and I have my boys and they'll Google me. And I will see that with all the attempts from the previous administration, this administration, to tarnish the influencer's name, I want to show my hands all the time because I know exactly what I stand for and what is the truth behind my name, and my children will know that. And that's why I say to public officers, while you're here making yours, because I need to make mine, so they involve themselves in corruption, they need to know that the seed that they're sowing for themselves will be detrimental to their own children. Because while you to get your hustle on, you to create one environment where will affect your boys and your girls in the next 10 and 20 years. And I hope that you're not turning over in your grave when you do that.
You know, I think it, Marlene was alluding a bit earlier to trying to find an answer as to how the PSU goes about basically rallying the troops. How do you get people to jump on board to engage in industrial action, for example? For example, the teachers' union, while it's headed by Senator Elena Smith, she's the face of the union. After her, you see all green shirts. How is it that the PSU is moving forward to ensure that there is some sort of structural mechanism that would be able to change the culture and increase the involvement of public servants?
That will only happen if you're able to depoliticize the public service. I won't fool myself to think that if you do not depoliticize the public service, that you'll be able to rally the troops, Brighton. Corruption thrive in the public service, and you ask yourself, Marlene, why is it that nobody report this corruption? Why is it that public officers within the customs department can freely and openly say when they're having a beer that we have a ring? We have a ring that we distribute on a monthly basis. When you look at immigration, why is it that nobody has stepped forward and said, this security officer, this officer, the cell number, the fool, they get under the payment? Why is it that nobody is stepping forward? Why is it that nobody in the Belize Tax Services is stepping forward and saying, officers are going to Chinese store with their wife and picnic and they walk out without pay? Why is it that the lands department is it and nobody is stepping forward and saying, I know Brighton, Ghana, Barcelona, Spain, and they tour the whole of Europe and they depend pay scale 5? Why is it that nobody is stepping forward? Why is it that we talk about having the income tax department, the FIU, the integrity commission, and nobody seems to be able to wheel in corrupt politicians, corrupt public officers who we know are corrupt, who we see the lifestyle? Why is it that if they cannot prove their assets, that we're not taxing them 50%? Then say if you can't declare off the top, you can't declare how you earn this thing. So Brighton, a lot of people, they put a lot of pressure and burden upon the PSU for change what is a systemic problem, or one problem where stem from our household.
But I would say though that I am sure that you have many members in your union who are exhausted of seeing people within their own departments engage in corrupt practice. I imagine that you have members that are hoping that there is going to be an effort made to be able to take a look at open vote workers, the ghost workers, which, I mean, who doesn't want a job that you get paid and don't show up, right? So all of these practices. And so, we're running out of time so quickly. One of the things I do need to hear from you about is that the 10% officially will be restored for your salaries this month. And you go back to regular work schedule. Everybody's on board with that?
No, not.
That's the key point here. And I know you've compromised in not taking the performance bonus, which was part of the original. Let me ask that, because that was a part of the conversation. The performance bonus was originally discussed in the first negotiation, in addition to the 10% cut. Where are we with that now?
Yeah. Well, I will say that.
We can open the can of worms in the end, right?
I will say that
I don't think we'll leave right now.
The government informed us clearly, Marlene. Despite the Prime Minister, and this is the dishonesty of the people that we deal with, and the lack of integrity, the Minister of State and the Ministry of Finance was frank. What we gave you on May the 12th, on May the 13th, what the Prime Minister presented to this country on May the 12th, 2021, was nothing merely than a commitment. That is not a binding agreement. And so we're not honoring that where the performance bonus is concerned. Because remember, the budget, the actuals superseded the budget. And so we would need to revisit the formula to be able to make a declaration on whether or not public officers would have been afforded that $60 million in distribution. And he was clear, that is not a binding document. That was just one of our commitments. As a matter of fact, everything in there is a mere commitment from us. So that is off the table. So we'll see what happens. And then they came back that, okay, we'll restore you on January 1st. So, and this is why I have a problem with how we're governed, because people, I mean, look at Plan Belize. I still wait for the depoliticize the public service, whereby the removal of CEOs is concerned, the replacement of them with permanent secretaries. It's just political hogwash, man.
That's a conversation I'd love us to have another time with permanent secretary versus CEO. But so what happens now? You accept your 10% and you go back to full day?
Yeah, well, we didn't accept the cut, so they did what they informed us that they are mandated to do, and now cabinet took a decision. Again, cabinet dictatorship. We are going back 10, and you're going back to 8, until public officers understand that this kind of dictatorship will continue until they take ownership of the public service and of them own selves. Then what can we do? We get back with 10% and we go back to work 8 o'clock. This is the passiveness, this is the type of society that we're raising.
You said a key word just now that sparked a bulb in my mind, and you said dictatorship. So I want to hear about your role as the PSU in maintaining democracy, especially with the frailty that we're seeing with the opposition right now in terms of being weak in holding the government accountable. Last year, the PSU advocated for Campaigns Financing Act, the Explain Your Wealth Act, as well as the Whistleblowers Act. Where are we in terms of the PSU and their involvement in ensuring that these come to pass?
We continue to be that advocate group, and it is solely, and while there are those who might say we're irrelevant, it is because of the union that we don't see more blatant actions and decisions being taken. Where those matters are concerned, those are live matters. I am also pleased to report this morning that on Sunday I received a letter from the Ministry of Public Service for us to submit within 10 days our, we had already made comment on it, but they are giving us an additional 10 days to submit comments on the asset recovery bill. So we are moving full steam ahead, but we've, similar to the Whistleblowers Act, Brighton, and similar to the Finance and Audit Reform Act, you got legislation, we don't got no teeth. And we've said that to them, we can't continue to produce this type of legislation which does not hold anybody accountable. The former Prime Minister spent over $1 billion. What happened to him? Man made up on TV, they laugh, and they give story about his corrupt cabinet that he ran under his leadership. No accountability. And what do? We nothing.
Well, I'd say at 100 years, you've come a long way, but there's clearly a lot more to get done. Anissa, I know very quickly we are out of time, but I do want you to talk about your activities that you have scheduled to commemorate your 100th
we
anniversary.
just recently, over the weekend, we had our 100th AGM, and we appointed back, I think, 7 officers. Myself was appointed back as the first vice president, the national treasurer, Mr. Shane Renault. We had 2 councillors and 3 trustees back on board. So we have new phases in our Council of Management. That happened over this weekend. Now going forward to celebration of our 100 years anniversary, which is the 15th of July, we looked at it and we said we should have a celebration as such. But there are some key areas that we want to highlight. We're having an open forum for past presidents that specifically will be discussing our team, 100 years of progress, PSU resilient, receptive, resilient, and relevant. So that is important. Another thing that we want to highlight, it's important for us to recognize our public officers and do workshops whereby we address certain things as mental health, financial strategy, and also a key thing, unionism. We need to have a discussion on it, you know. You can't just be a member and don't understand what it is to be a union member, a unionist. So we have our opening ceremony. In 1922, it started in Dangriga. We're having our opening ceremony on the 10th of July. So we're having a week of activities, and we want to have a celebratory mood as well as reflect on our accomplishments and also some of our struggles.
All right.
So that sums it up.
So that's the whole list there from July 10th to the 15th, closing off with PSU Day.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming in. I know we could go on and on,
Oh, it's a
but
conversation that
you're
never
always
ends.
welcome back. So thank you for coming in today.
Okay, and thank you too.
Thanks.
All right. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll be talking to Pathlight Belize about their upcoming program. So please stay tuned.
Technology is ubiquitous, and it's transforming how, when, and where we work. Full-Tech Systems is placing award-winning devices in the hands of information workers, allowing them to work without compromise in a world without wires, to innovate, create, and to maximize productivity anytime, anywhere, satisfying the needs of the desk-centric remote and field worker and every other worker in between. We are providing the industry's best devices to businesses going through the process of digital transformation. Partner with us today to provide the solutions that will allow your employees to work effectively and efficiently to enhance your customers' experience. Full-Tech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
Wake up! Wake up! Now which cheese you think you me to eat all the while? Gallo cheese with the blue rooster on the label is the traditional and the real deal. The original Dutch, redback or hard cheese in a Belize. Be aware! Check your label and make sure it is in English and for the Belize market. Gallo cheese with the blue rooster. The real deal. Santiago Castillo Limited, supporting and building our Belizean community for 95 years and counting.
Gaia Edam Dutch cheese, aged and tropicalized, the best formula for the Belize market, exclusively distributed by Santiago Castillo Limited.
I'm on my way to Belize, where I can get what I need and save some money. After 75 years in the business, Nobody do it like Dennis. Hello, how may I help you? Anything you need, we got you. Whether it tools or tiles, lights and fans, we are serving with a smile. Genuine plumbing and electric supply, quality construction supply, heating and air condition, 100% Belizean. Dennis, celebrating 75 years. Quality and savings. Quality and savings. Celebrating 75 years. Quality and savings. Quality and savings. Benny's celebrating 75 years. Quality and savings. Quality and savings.
BEL's annual primary school essay competition is here again. Standards 4, 5, and 6 students. It's time to get creative. Here's how you can participate. Your essay must be no more than 500 words and explain what BEL's Safety and Health Week theme means to you. Every life counts. Be responsible. Be alert. Buckle up. Obey safety rules. 12 prizes will be awarded. $2,000 for all schools with first place winners. A laptop plus $1,000 for first place winners. A laptop plus $750 for second place winners. A laptop plus $500 for third place winners. Standards 4, 5, and 6 students. Submit your essays by Friday, July 8th, 2022 to safety@bel.com.bc. Visit BEL's Facebook page for more information on our annual primary school essay competition.
You want a mobile service provider that allows you to stay connected with fast, reliable LTE coverage anytime, anywhere. Whether it's just to catch up with family, to share that experience with your one special friend, or to manage your small business. Whatever's your thing, you deserve to have the best mobile experience. Now you can do even more while on the go with the increased anytime data allowance in Digi's mobile postpaid plans. You now enjoy 8 gigs of anytime data starting at only $55 monthly. Or share up to 120 gigs of anytime data with up to 6 of your closest friends. That's more LTE data for you to enjoy during the day, nights, and weekends. No restrictions. So keep your gigs up with more data plus unlimited talk and text in all Digi postpaid plans. Visit a Digi store near you to sign up today. All you need is a valid ID and proof of address. It's time to get on Belize's fastest mobile 4G LTE advanced network. Visit livedigi.com to find out more, or hit us up on WhatsApp or Facebook. Digi, our national telecom.
The way things are going, she'll call my election tomorrow. What do you think of that? You didn't get right back in because do people see a coherent opposition? No.
Is the opposition weak?
Yes. Of course it is weak. My heart grieves for my party, but most of all for my country. I wish the UDP well, and I think where my son is concerned, if we're going to be honest, why a sad state of affairs currently exists in the United Democratic Party.
And welcome back. We're moving into our second conversation for this morning. We're joined by representatives from Pathlight Belize. We are joined by the Executive Director, Adel Katsim, as well as Director of Teacher Training and STEM Programs, Consuelo Godfrey. Good morning and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning,
Brighton. Morning, Marlene.
Pathlight Belize. Pathlight Belize has been leading the way in terms of innovation and education in our country. Speak to us about the current services being offered by Pathlight and just the growth and development over the years of establishment.
Thank you. Well, Pathlight has been here in Belize for the last 15 years. It grew from a really small program into being what it is right now. And there are two flagship programs that we have. One is teacher training, and the other one has to do with a full wraparound scholarship program for students who aren't able to afford to go to secondary school. So we provide scholarships for the entire 4 years of secondary school, not just tuition, books, and uniforms, the normal things that a scholarship would provide, but we have a completely comprehensive wraparound program that allows the students to do their best. And, you know, it increases the chances of success in completing secondary school. And within that, embedded within that, we have a leadership program. And the Leadership Plus program is the one, is one of the programs that we are investing in heavily because we believe that we need leaders with compassion. We need leaders and students and young people who have critical thinking skills. And so we are investing in that program. A part of that program and the links between both the scholarship, the after school program and the teacher training is that we have our STEM after school initiatives. And even embedded within that, we have a leadership component. So we use students who have gone through the program and who excel to then come the second time around and help other students. And so we're building leadership all the way around.
Now I want to let's start off with teacher training, because I know since that was one of the most visible activities that you had at one point, and it has been where teachers would flood your registration that it books out early. Let's talk about where you are and what you're offering for training for teachers now.
Thank you, Marlene and Brighton, for having us here this morning. Yes, so Pathlight's teacher training program has been in existence since its inception back in 2010 when we started the branch of the teacher training conference. That was how we started with 50 teachers in Jaguar Creek.
small group of teachers being trained every summer in some, professional development or pedagogical area, content. It has grown over the years. We used to, before the pandemic, have face-to-face trainings. You travel the country, we'd bring in trainers from the US, use local experts as well to be able to train teachers in various content areas. When the pandemic hit, we went full virtual completely. We had 57 sessions that year. We had 25 trainers that were both local and international, and teachers. We had about 500 teachers show up for that training online. So that was everyone logging in and engaging online and so forth. We've continued our virtual conference, so this year is no different. This year, though, our focus is going to change quite a bit. We are going to be focusing mostly on, for the primary education teachers and also for early childhood teachers, our focus is going to be on competency-based education, an introduction to what that is, which is in line with the reform initiative that the government is taking on with curriculum. And so teachers will kind of get a jump start on what that is, because competency-based education is very different than traditional based. We've been in the system where it's the teacher is like the sage on the stage, it's teacher directed, they do all the planning, they do all the selection, so there's not much of a student choice or voice within the lesson itself, and the way that students are assessed is dictated by the teacher. And so with competency-based education and competency-based teaching and learning, you notice I say education, learning, and teaching because they all, make up that system. It's more about looking at what students are able to do. What is it? A performance task. It's looking at the character of the child. It's looking at fostering things that, we were chatting about earlier: leadership, empathy, integrity, advocacy, citizenship. Even some level of self-regulation. And so moving away from the teacher being the all-knowing versus let's treat our students like they've come with knowledge. Let's treat our students like they also know how to get this done. And let's hear what they have to say. Maybe they have an idea of how they want to be assessed. And so these are some of the things that we're going to focus for high school. I'm very excited about that level because it's a passion for me, project and problem-based learning, which is a methodology to build competencies, the very thing that Ms. Adeli spoke about, which is the leadership and the empathy. But in addition to that, it's going to foster critical thinking skills. It's going to foster collaboration, creativity. So those are some of the key things that are really developing in students as we take them through a problem scenario, or they build a project, or they make a product. And that could be anything. You could just think the sky is the limit.
You have partnered with the Ministry of Education that your trainings count towards the teacher license, right?
Yes.
So when they attend the training, that would then meet the requirements?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
And so from the beginning, Pathlight has delivered accredited training to teachers. But what is a little bit different this time is that we're aligning our training program with the overall goals of the Ministry of Education as they implement the National Curriculum Reform Project, right? And so the entire country is moving towards competency-based learning. And because the entire country is moving in that direction, we then are stepping in to be a partner with government to make sure that we help in doing the teacher training, not just the training of existing teachers for CPDs, but also help to shape the curriculum of the tertiary level institutions that will be training teachers from the inception. So, we're doing it from both ends, and that way we get existing teachers to kind of shift and adapt to this new learning methodology, as well as the new ones coming in.
It's a paradigm shift in culture for sure in comparison to when we were in primary school and secondary school, the type of approach that's taken. Speak to us about the importance of moving towards competency-based training and how it's going to impact, or how do you foresee it impacting our community and development?
A great question, Brighton. What I understand from all the research that's been done, competency-based teaching and education has been around and has been kind of in a very background, quiet kind of way in education. We say that we want to teach competencies, we say we want to foster competencies, but when you look at existing curriculums and existing learning systems, they're not. right? We only kind of speak, we only kind of like talk the talk. We don't really walk the walk.
Yeah.
And so what the world was given a hard lesson when COVID came. And another thing that industries and especially in our local market here that we've discovered by chance, haphazardly, happenstance, is that the folks leaving the education system, they're not ready, for the most part, they're not ready for the world.
Yeah.
They get out there and you could have a 4.0 GPA and you get into a setting where there are many different personalities, there are many different decisions that have to be made. You are either coached or mentored by a supervisor or manager, and they find it very difficult to be productive, to be successful. Book smart, they say book smart, street smart aren't the same thing. Well, it's the same. So competency-based education is really geared to, what is it we want to see at the end of that product? What do we want to see at the end of 12 years, out of high school? Because not everyone gets a chance to go to tertiary. But even if they do, what are they like in those institutions? What are they like? You both went away to study. That was a different setting. Out there, you had to learn and you had to adapt to certain environments. So that it helps with getting students prepared for that type of world.
Give us an example, because I'm trying to understand competency-based learning right now. So if you were my teacher, you came into a class, because I think we haven't talked about parents buy-in, and we don't often talk about the pressures that schools and teachers come under by parents in the type of instruction they expect their children to get and the amount of work they expect their children to get. But a teacher comes into a classroom with a curriculum that's mandated by the Ministry of Education. They put together a teacher plan. They talk about the lesson, give some notes, write some notes, interactions. That's what today's system is.
Right.
When we talk about competency-based, what would then be the approach when you come into the classroom?
Well, it all depends on the definition within the country, because everyone approaches the word competency in a different way.
Okay.
Competency is really a combination of skills, behavior, and attitude. Because let me just say, you can be a good teacher, meaning you can deliver your lesson, right? You can do the assessment, you can jot down the grades in the grade book, and you are a good teacher. You have the skill of teaching. What makes you competent is your ability to two things. What's the achievement level of each child in the classroom? Are you differentiating that learning environment for the quiet child, the gifted child, the child that is struggling? What level of assessments are you using? Not just paper-based tests, not just summative assessments, but you are actually formatively over the 3 weeks that you teach a unit, using primary as an example. How are you assessing the development of that child moving forward? So competency-based is identifying, well, what is it we want to foster at the end of this unit? Are we fostering leadership? Are we fostering respect for the human person? Are we fostering spirituality? So it's an intentional decision to then say these activities will engage students in the content, yes, in the skill development, yes, but because the way the activity is designed, it's also going to foster their ability to show leadership, their ability to demonstrate a competency in working together and listening to someone else's opinion or perspective.
I could just imagine the confidence that children would be able to develop in a process like this, coming into a classroom feeling like I bring something.
Right.
It's very inclusive. I think that's one of the things that attracts me the most to the entire process, because you can have the same content. It's the approach. It's how you deliver that content and the outcome of what it is that you want to achieve. It's not just a regurgitation, but it's actually learning skills that will allow you to apply what you learned in the real world. And Consuelo could talk about some of the projects that we've, completed in the last 2 years, and to show that children, I mean, it doesn't matter what type of learning style you have or what your dominant learning style is, you can participate in this process because it fosters teamwork. Teamwork is naturally embedded within the process, right? And she's had some really good experiences. Pathlight in general is really proud to be able to continue to partner with government to make sure that whatever we have learned over the last 2 years, we can bring to the national stage and help teachers to shift in this direction, because this is what the government has identified as the way to go, not just now, but for the future.
Ms. Godfrey, tell us about how effective this type of program is, or this type of approach is, in classrooms where we have so many students and it's a bit harder to focus on every single child's competency or their ability to be able to progress.
Yeah, well, the competency is really the person's ability to not just demonstrate to the teacher they can do something, but how well they do it. As someone is competent, they're not just good at something, they're doing it at an exceptional level.
Right.
So it's the design, so we have to do these lesson plans, right? Teachers have to have lesson plans. I know the government is working on kind of alleviating some of that workload for teachers, and that's great, that's awesome. What it does is that it allows the teacher to take that lesson and then make changes to the design of activities. Sometimes we go into these classrooms and the students are writing notes. It takes long to write notes. Note taking is a good skill, but it shouldn't be the focus of the class. There are other ways that students can access content, especially if you're looking at the high school level. I'm using that level as an example because that's the area that we're going to focus this first initiative on. Most of our students have access to internet at the tip of their fingers. So if you look at Bloom's taxonomy, teachers that are listening in would kind of understand what that is, the levels of thinking. You have what you call knowledge and understanding. Teachers focus a lot of their teaching on those first two levels, providing content, providing some level of understanding to students. But if we get some of that and kind of outsource that to already what students are accessing on Google, what they're accessing on the internet, we teach them how to access that in a respectful, safe way, then teachers can then focus on skills like analyzing, evaluating, synthesizing, and creating. So their lesson activities can be focused on those levels of thinking. Their assessment strategies can be focused on those levels of thinking, and not so much as multiple choice, true and false, fill in the blanks, turn to page 55, let's discuss this chapter for 10 minutes, you get a quiz at the end of the week. And we're not saying that that has to go away. What we're saying is you can design a problem, you can design a lesson so that the students are not just learning content and skills, but they're solving a problem. And it can be a current problem. We have tons of problems in Belize. Students want to build things with their hands, and
we have lots of innovative thinkers.
And this is
I'm amazed when I see the amount of young people who are jumping headfirst into entrepreneurship, and it's a clear indicator where they are coming up with ideas and shifting them towards a Belizean reality, but then also having the confidence and the courage to pursue. So we run out of time so quickly with these conversations, but I do want to talk about the new development. You guys are expanding.
Yes, absolutely.
Tell
we're
us about
expanding
that.
in different ways.
Okay.
So we're expanding in what we're delivering. So for example, the STEM initiatives is a part of the expansion, but we're also expanding our reach geographically. So we have 2 existing resource centers right now, and these resource centers are teacher and student resource centers. The focus of the resource centers is mostly on the students who are our scholarship beneficiaries, who are, we call them Pathlight students. And so we have a resource center in Belize City, and we have one in Belmopan. But we're expanding now to Orange Walk, and so we will have a new resource center in Orange Walk. We're going to start with our first cohort of students, 20 students in Orange Walk, that will have the full wraparound scholarships. We will launch. We will have the official launch of the resource center on July 20th in the morning. And we're honored that our special envoy for women and children will be the keynote speaker at the launch, because she's a seasoned educator, and loves and believes in the children and the support
and an
for
advocate
those
of
who
inclusive education.
Exactly, absolutely. And so we will be doing that. We will have by September over 200 students who will be active scholarship recipients for Pathlight scholarships.
Your scholarship period is over now? You've already made your selections?
Yes.
Okay.
We're in the process of finalizing our selections. We will have 65 approximately 65 new scholarship students
This
that will
year.
come on this year. Yes.
From across the country?
From the three
Belmont,
areas in
Orange
which we
Walk.
have resource centers.
Because
Right.
you want to offer the other services,
Yes.
the after school
Yes,
and the
all the
leadership
after
and-
school services. So let me just make a distinction though. Our STEM after school initiatives are not just for Pathlight students. Those are offered to secondary school students across the country. Yes. And then there are other services that we provide only to the students who are we consider Pathlight students. And that includes mental health counseling. It includes a warm meal. It includes transportation to and from school. It includes tutoring support and Christian mentorship, because Pathlight is a Christian organization, and the leadership development as well.
So as you can see, it's a
Yes,
full wraparound.
yes.
It's a full wraparound.
Arts
And your
sports.
staff is what, 300? That's how you get this done? Because that's
We have
I'm
we
kidding.
we
This is Belize.
yes, yes.
Belize.
We've gone from 14 to 21 in a very short time in the last month or so, just because we're expanding and we want to make sure that we have the human resource capacity to deliver on our promise.
All right. So let's close off with applications for the Teachers Conference and, of course, for the STEM program for students.
Right. Thank you,
With the top-
Marlene. So for our teacher training conference, we start on July 4th.
Okay.
We already have almost 90% of the spaces already booked. So we do have a few spaces left for high school, a few for primary, and a few for early childhood. It's on our Pathlight T2T Facebook page. But you know, most teachers know how to contact us here at Pathlight Belize, so they know that our conference is coming up. The deadline for payment is June 30th. For STEM after-school programs, we do work with other networks and organizations in Belize and around in the U.S. We have one coming up this summer on CubeSats. So students will be building satellites to launch into space. That's going to be an 8-week summer program in August. And then in the fall of this year, we're going to have our Martian greenhouse, growing food and populating the planet of Mars. What would that look like if you were to solve that problem, if we had to leave Earth and go inhabit another planet? So that's going to come on board in September of 2022, and all high schools are invited to participate in that after school. We've been doing this now for 2 years, and we've seen the great, wonderful product that it has produced in our students.
Boys and girls, I
Boys
must
and
say.
girls, but boys
Thank you.
especially
Yes.
love these
Yes.
hands-on projects. We just completed one on energy, where students had to build an energy grid. We had one for Consejo
age
Shores.
groups for the STEM?
Yeah, it's 13 to 18 high school age, and amazing projects coming out of students, our Belizean kids, thinking above the rim.
It's
so
absolutely refreshing to hear more
Yeah.
young women being involved in STEM.
Yes.
Well, our goal is, and I know Adele,
Yes.
our goal is to do like a 20 by 30. So it's 30 by 30. 30% of our girls in high school signing up for STEM careers by 2030. That's something that I want to see happen, and I'm going to be an advocate for that, because I think more of our girls need to venture into that field in that industry.
This is where we align with the national goals of the government. Right? Yes, because the government has these education goals, and so we're one of the partner agencies helping to achieve those.
All right. Well, ladies, thank you so much for telling us about what you've been up to. There's always something innovative cooking, so we love to get the scoop. And I know, as you said, there are limited spaces left in the Teachers Conference, so that means sign up today.
Yeah, that would be great. Yes, please.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we are going to be having our final Top Achievers conversation for this graduation season, and we are going to be featuring students from La Isla Bonita. So please, stay tuned.
I'm always on the go, and the country is my home. So when I want to get away from it all, I immerse myself with my favorite movies, all from the new Smart Stream app. It's easy to use this service. Purchase your movies from the app and use your mobile data, Smart Stream data packages, or smart broadband to stream and enjoy. Be like me and stream on the go with Smart Stream.
What does live and let live mean to you?
Live and let live means that I can be a mother and have a career.
It means treating people the way you would want to be treated.
And making sure your business is accessible for all Belizeans.
It means that everyone deserves to be treated with dignity and respect.
It means to love your children no matter what.
It means to support people who face discrimination.
It means that men and women should be treated equally at work.
It means that everyone is able to contribute to building Belize.
It means saying no to all forms of discrimination.
It means love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Live and let live. Respect for all Belizeans.
The Five Sisters Resort, located at the Gaia River Lodge, is nestled within the pristine mountain pine ridge reserve in the district of Cayo. The restaurant offers a true farm-to-table experience, using fresh ingredients from the resort's organic garden, and is open daily for breakfast, lunch and dinner. To explore the restaurant and to get a special off-the-grid experience within the resort, we offer a 30% discount on accommodation for all locals and residents for the entire month of July.
Your life just got a lot less complicated with Belize Bank Contactless MasterCard Debit Card. Introducing our Standard Debit and MasterCard Platinum Debit Cards. Now you can make purchases anywhere MasterCard is accepted with one tap, pay and go. Your contactless card never has to leave your hands, especially in these times. And your card is embedded with multiple layers of security. Platinum card holders get to enjoy extra benefits like price protection, purchase protection, trip inconvenience, and luggage protection, just to name a few. Start enjoying a cashless lifestyle today with the Belize Bank.
Are you looking for low-cost television advertising? Have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you to save valuable time and money. Call us today at 280-0013 or visit us at our offices on Coney Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5 Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
Hey, Dad.
Hi, Brian. Please stop running around the house.
Right now, Dad.
Damn it, Brian! I told you stop it! Can't you hear me? Are you deaf? Or you just plain
Time out. Your life is stressful, and it is easy to lose your patience. When you feel this is about to happen, take a time out. Harsh words are verbal violence and can be very harmful. They are not forgotten. Offering alternatives and communicating with your child is the best way to build real respect. I'm sorry, Brian. That just had a rough day at work. Can you do something quiet?
Do you want a job?
That's more like it.
So class, let's review your homework. What are some of the things that we can do to make sure everyone has a clean and reliable supply of water?
Sir, we should turn off the faucet when using soap to bathe, to wash our hands, and maybe even our cars. This will cut our water bills and save us a lot of water.
My dad says we should keep the area around the water pipes close to our houses clean.
Yes, sir. We should encourage our parents to pay their water bills so the entire village will always have clean water.
Right, class? We should not forget to attend water bowl meetings and add our 2 cents. Make sure everyone has reliable, clean water.
My mom says that we young people can volunteer to paint the public water pipe.
So, how do we make sure we will always have reliable, clean water?
Join the Clean Water Revolution.
Get involved today and do your part to keep your water supply clean and reliable.
The Department of Rural Development is working on achieving Goal 6 of the Sustainable Development Goals, which is to ensure access to water and sanitation for all.
And welcome back. We're moving into our final conversation for this morning, and we're continuing to highlight top achievers across the country, Marlene. We're joined by graduates actually, from San Pedro High School. We have the salutatorian Brianna Guerrero, as well as the third top graduate, Heidi Perez. Good morning, and thank you for joining us, ladies.
Good morning, and thank you for having us.
Top graduates from your year. Speak to us about the excitement and what it felt like when you walked up that stage.
I think I felt really nervous as I was talking. I felt like my hands were shaking as I was holding the mic, but I was also very happy because I was like, all the hard work from the past 4 years finally paid off.
Similar, I was very shaky. It was my first time being on the stage like that for graduation.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very nervous to continue proceeding my speech. But it was exciting nonetheless. It really felt nice, to be honest.
Yeah. Now, Heidi, let's hear from you. What's your major at high school?
I took business.
Okay. So, the high school experience for the 2022 graduating class is a unique one. You guys had half what was normal schooling, and then you had half of figuring out pandemic school. What was your preference? I mean, you guys, I know that a lot of people adapted easily to online schooling, and some really struggled. What was your experience at San Pedro High?
For face-to-face, it was, of course, normal. We always had that. Online, for me personally, was easier to adapt. I just did what I did normally to continue focusing, and I just did what I knew how.
Yeah.
What I prefer, I can't necessarily say. Online has its advantages and disadvantages. Same thing with face-to-face. But I would lean more on online, personally. But both of them are good. It depends on the person and how they choose to learn, or what's best for them as an individual.
And Brianna, what was your experience like? What's your major, and what was your experience like?
Well, I also major in business. Actually, Haiti and I go to the same class. Like the top 3 people, we all go to the same class. I'm a homebody. I like staying at home. So when they first said that we were gonna do online classes, I was actually kind of happy. I was like, yay, I don't have to worry about traffic. I could just wake up, brush my teeth. But then after the first few weeks, I was like, oh, wait, I kind of miss school. Because before, when you had to go to school, you would say, oh, I don't want to go to school. And then it became, oh, I kind of want to go to school now. But I think online also had its advantages. Like she said, for example, group work. Normally, when you were in person, it would be hard to match up your schedule with group members. You'd be like, whose house are we going to, or what time or what day? But when it was online, you just had to do it through a call, and everyone does their part. So that was a little bit more easier.
Awesome. Now, speak to us about the balance that you had to maintain in terms of your academic achievement, and also grappling with the mental effects of doing online courses.
I think it was actually very difficult because it wasn't only about worrying about my grades. For example, online tests and stuff, you would have to do it online and you would have a time limit. And if you don't submit it during that time, you can't submit anything at all. And sometimes my Wi-Fi would disconnect. So instead of worrying, oh, I might get this question or that question wrong, I'm thinking, what if my Wi-Fi disconnects and I can't submit?
That's a whole different worry you didn't have to have before. All right. And you know, how competitive was it in the class? You said all three of you, the valedictorian couldn't be with us because she's working already, I believe.
Yeah.
How competitive was your class?
I believe it wasn't that competitive. We were all very friendly with each other. Very buddy. So since we're all friendly, I think we forgot about being each other's competitors, especially in a business class. So we were all just trying our best to graduate, really, and we wanted to have fun for this one last year because majority of the year was online and we didn't see our teachers or friends, so we just tried to enjoy our time as much as we could while trying to balance getting good grades in order for us to graduate. So we just wanted to enjoy ourselves.
Were you ladies surprised that you were in the top 3?
I mean, we kind of had an idea. We knew like one of us, like from our friend group, would be high up, so it wasn't really that much of a surprise.
Yeah. What would you say, you know, I think being a top achiever, especially at the high school level, it takes a lot of work. You know, some people are naturally gifted, but even if you are academically inclined, it still takes work. Would you say that you were able to balance out the dedication to your schoolwork with still having a teenage experience?
I think that's a complicated question because I'm a perfectionist, so I'm very hard on myself. So if I do a test and I only get one wrong, instead of thinking, wow, I got majority of the questions right, I'm thinking, wow, I got that one wrong? Why did I get it wrong? And then it just bothers me for the rest of the day.
I'm with her. If I would get a question wrong, I would try to see what that I did wrong. If it was an easy question, then that raises a lot of questions because, you know, it's fairly easy. How did I get this wrong? And there's so many factors that goes into it. But to have a normal teenage life, I think that depends on the person, really. I personally don't like to go out even before the pandemic. So if a student here was like valedictorian, was very outgoing, it would be best if they answered that question. But I personally did not like going out as much.
But you had your friends group, you said that you supported each other. You knew that you were going to be top student.
Or sometimes when we had overbearing homework, I'm like, oh my God, there's so much homework. And then they would message me like, oh, you can do it. Like, just take a deep breath. And we always comforted each other.
Now, tell us about what your coping mechanism was throughout this entire period doing classes online. How did you sort of put yourself in a space to be able to get your assignments completed on time? Even on the days where you felt like perhaps I might just stay in bed and lie down a bit more. Who knows? You're doing online courses, you could sign into Zoom and the teacher doesn't necessarily have to know that you're there. Because you may not necessarily have to put on your cameras. Speak to us about what your coping mechanism was.
For me personally, it was music, and like at the end of the day, if I wanted to speak with someone, I just call a friend, and we just talk about our day to kind of relieve a bit of the stress that I had. But music helped me a lot, and if it was like a quiet class, I'd play music while doing homework. Nothing with lyrics because that would distract me. So that's what I did.
And you, Brianna?
I think for me too, not only that, but also remembering all the hard work that I did the first 2 years of high school. Why would I work hard and then just give up the last 2 years? It's like I did it for nothing. So it just made me want to do even better. I was like, okay, it's harder for me, then I have to put extra more effort to do better.
Now, business, you're both business majors. Tell us about where you see yourselves projecting towards in the future.
Well, I have many plans. Right now, I am gonna study business administration and accounting, and my dad owns a business, so hopefully I'll be learning more from him a little bit.
As of now, I will continue focusing on my education, which was sixth form. I will also be majoring in business administration with accounting. So that is my main focus. It is in the near future to do well in my sixth form and just continue working hard because it pays off in the end, unexpectedly, but it does pay off. So that's what I'm focusing on right now.
Yeah. What do you, the experience of your high school years, which, as I said before, included both the regular class and also being online. I'm sure over the time you probably hit obstacles, times where perhaps you felt like you wouldn't pass that test, you couldn't pass that test. How do you keep yourself motivated?
Well, I think you have to keep yourself motivated. It's not a matter of how, it's just I have to. I can't really just give up. And like you said, it can be hard sometimes, especially when you're staring at a screen for like 6 hours and then you have 4 assignments and more hours on the screen. But some teachers also were very considerate of us. They're like, I know that you guys are probably tired of staring at your screen. So they gave us the option of taking pictures of our work and then just sending it to them.
Okay. Okay. So you had supportive teachers as well.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. But at least you got, I saw the pictures of you with your signed uniforms. You got a regular graduation ceremony.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was a good reward after the past 2 years. What's your favorite high school memory that you're going to walk away with?
I think it's the Kahoot games. We were very competitive when it came to the games. It was like, oh no, they're ahead of me by 100 points. I need to catch up. We were just, it was very fun.
That was competitive.
Yes, that was very competitive.
All right.
So what do you say to other students transitioning now into fourth form and wanting to achieve their maximum potential to be able to walk up on that stage and give the salutatory address, give the vote of thanks, or even the valedictory speech? What do you say to those students? Brianna?
I feel like when I was doing my speech, I was kind of overthinking it at first. I was worrying, like, oh my God, what if I go and I trip with the heel or something as I'm going to say the speech? That might not happen, so don't overthink that. I think honestly, just have fun. I was overthinking things too much. I feel like you could just enjoy the moment and just share your experiences of being a high schooler.
Yeah. I do think that time management is key. Do not overwork yourself. That is not the thing to do in your fourth year because there'll be a lot of assignments. There's tests, exams. Please just try to give yourself a break when you can, especially when there's homework. If you have like 5 homework, try to prioritize the ones that take more effort, more energy, because likely they will be with the most points. And you just try not to overburden yourself. Don't overthink. Just do your best. Do what you do, and just focus in class. If you focus in class, everything will be fine because you'll be grasping the basic concepts, and later on it should be easy. But if you're stuck on something, ask a teacher, ask a friend, a parent. But if you don't want to ask someone, go to Google, YouTube, find a way to solve that issue, and just do your best and be a bit calm. Don't overthink, like Brianna said, because you get hectic when you overthink. It's awful. Don't procrastinate either.
Yeah, also give yourself some breaks. Work hard for your grades, but don't kill yourself over them. I think it's also very important to prioritize your mental health. For me, example, sometimes I would have 5 assignments. I'm like, I need to get them all done at once. I definitely think I should have taken some breaks. It would have made me a lot more calm and less stressed out.
But girls, let me tell you something. Those are great lessons beyond high school. Everything y'all just said are great life lessons.
Yeah.
So keep those going. But I also know that, you know, very often you have a lot of people who help you along this journey. And in talking to our top achievers, we also want to give them the opportunity to shout out their support system, people who've helped them, encouraged them, even push them when things got hard. So who do you want to say thank you to this morning?
My parents, they're probably watching me right now. I can hear the television. I could hear it right there. So thank you, Mom and Dad, for everything, for loving me and supporting me and always calming me down when I was stressed out.
Yeah, what's their name? Go ahead. Let them
Rosa and Opel Guerrero.
Okay.
Best parents in the world.
Aww. Now they're crying. And for you, Heidi?
Same. My parents, Mom and Dad, they've supported me through thick and thin. They've been there. They always try to help me and find solutions whenever I get stressed out and a bit emotional at times, but they're really great. I love them very dearly. I don't think I would have been here without them. I would also like to thank the teachers in our school. They were also very supportive of us and our friends too. When we were a bit down, they would also try their best to cheer us up, but mainly my parents. I love them dearly.
What's their name?
Hader and Guadalupe Perez.
Okay, so we say good morning and congratulations to them as well. They usually work as hard too, you know. Well, ladies, we want to thank you for joining us this morning to just share if just this little bit about your high school experience at San Pedro High School. Thank you so much. Congratulations and enjoy the summer break. You have earned it.
Thank you so much.
All right. And with that, we are going to go ahead, Brighton, and take a break. And when we come back, we're going to wrap the show up. So please stay tuned.
Hola usuario de eCash, la aplicación eCash está disponible en español. Cambiar el idioma de tu aplicación de eCash de inglés a español es rápido y sencillo. Déjame mostrarte cómo se hace. Primero, abre tu aplicación eCash. Introduce tu PIN. Toca el icono More en la parte inferior de tu pantalla. Selecciona Security. Selecciona Language. Y luego selecciona Spanish. Vuelve a introducir tu PIN y ya está. Tu aplicación de eCash está ahora en español y puedes seguir disfrutando de tu cartera digital eCash. La aplicación eCash de Belize Bank te hace la vida más fácil.
We were born connected to the water, the deep blue, the swell, the salt air, sheer abundance, ritual, water, expectation of the catch, the wind and waves. What lay beneath filled our bellies, sustained our communities. But song fell to a whisper. Her rituals were lost. Communities changed. But now, that song beckons us back to the sea. The generations that came before, and for the generations still to come. Thriving, abundant sea is possible. Rebuilding fish populations can be our legacy.
Yo, this is Super G the General, and I want to invite you all to the
Belize International Music and Food Festival.
That will be held for 2 nights, July 30th
and the 31st at Sakachispas Field.
It's Bobby insane.
Mr. Chipo, you. As you left my yard, tell me why you come back.
You know, it's yours truly, King Home Official.
It's your boy Stick the Artist.
My name is Clayton Williams.
It's your boy Dando.
Hi, my name is Deja.
TLC, baby.
Blessings, everybody. This is Original Coffee inviting you out to the Belize International Music and Food Festival in San Pedro. There will be me, many other artists. There will be enough music, enough food. So come out, enjoy yourself.
I'm always on the go, and the country is my home. So when I want to get away from it all, I immerse myself with my favorite movies, all from the new Smart Stream app. It's easy to use this service. Purchase your movies from the app and use your mobile data, Smart Stream data packages, or smart broadband to stream and enjoy. Be like me and stream on the go with Smart Stream.
Are you looking for low-cost television advertising? Have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you to save valuable time and money. Call us today at 280-0013 or visit us at our offices on Coney Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5 Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
Kadilesa Albert Interlube.
Inita nomada, naba santi golida ligabri, asa talida l'escola abro hatia. Afiat na lo ni la mege dom.
Time out. Weri hali anigi beli habusa rogrigia wena mohaya hagamro duniwa irahia. Baro bada ayano haba hama bisanigu. Demele badugunile bide haba lida leredoroniwa hagamro duniwa irahia.
And we are back. It has been a really interesting show, of course, having the first conversation with the Public Service Union as they celebrate their 100th anniversary and the upcoming activities that they'll have to commemorate that.
Absolutely, and it was really nice diving into some much needed discourse with them to hear where they're at in terms of their involvement in our democracy and how they continue to push unionism going forward.
That's right. And we want to say thank you to Pathlight Belize, who came in to tell us about what they have planned. They are opening a brand new center in Orange Walk, which opens up the possibilities for young people to take advantage of their STEM program for high school students, and of course to benefit from their scholarship program. And then their teachers training, they are almost full, but you can still sign up to participate, and that's online, so you can be from any part of the country.
Yeah, and certainly a huge shout out and congratulations goes to our graduates from San Pedro High School. We are very thankful for them joining us this morning. And also congratulations to all the other graduates. Continue to be your best self and put your best foot forward in achieving your goals.
All right, and now we got to wrap up the show, but we got a birthday shout out this morning.
Yes, we do have a birthday shout out, Marlene, and I say happy birthday to my dear friend, my brother from another mother, Zachary Garbut. Happy birthday, bro. Hope you enjoy, and hopefully I see you at workout later.
All right, Zach. Well, we hope you enjoy your day. That comes from all of us here at Channel 5 and Open Your Eyes. And with that, remember, if you want to send a birthday shout out or if you want to get in touch with us, send us an email at oye@channel5belize.com.
You could also find us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ.
All right, and you can also check us out on Instagram at OYE Belize. Remember to tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 when you open your eyes.
Start your morning right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
and your hearts open.
We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day, Belize.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.